Hello, there's a good chance we don't know each other. I may have never even heard of your company or know anything about what it does, but I'm pretty confident I can still tell you what your company's most important business process is. Hi, I am Greg with Prickril Consulting, and I can tell you from personal experience that getting this process wrong can be one of the most costly things you can do. And your company's most important business process is recruiting. So recruiting is the process of finding people, interviewing them, and getting them ready so that you can hire them. Hiring is another process. And it turns out that getting the wrong people on the bus is just hugely expensive in terms of money, time, effort, and it can be extremely painful to correct the situation. So I will share some best practices that I saw when I was at Microsoft. I worked there from 2003 to 2007. I was obviously interviewed there. I did a lot of interviews while I was there, and I was always impressed with how seriously they took the process of recruiting. So it was driven by a recruiter, of course, but very formal. There was a group of people who would be doing the interviewing who were pulled together. Common themes were identified, how we wanted to approach a particular candidate. This was called the interview loop. So everybody was aware of everyone else in the interview loop before it started. And you would do your interview, you would talk to the person, and at the end of the interview, you had to send an email to the rest of the loop that said hire or not hire. That had to be the subject line. It was really cut and dry. Should we hire this person or should we not? You would give some reasoning, and more importantly, you would write a little bit about where this person was weak, where you sensed that they were insecure, and the next person in the interview loop would pick that up. So going through the process was a little bit like I imagine being attacked by a pack of wolves. One digs in, you shake free, the next one is aware of your weakness and comes along, and by the end of the day you're really exhausted. So there were usually let's say 3 interviews in the morning. Those would be with peers, with management, and if you passed those, you would go on to the interviews in the afternoon, which were optional. If the morning didn't go well, you were sent on your way, thanked for your time. And in the afternoon, you might meet with somebody in senior management about the position you were interviewing for. And maybe as importantly, you would talk to somebody outside of the department where the job position was posted, so they could check if you were a fit for Microsoft's culture. So they tried to establish that you were going to be successful in the position you were interviewing for, and that you are a fit culturally at Microsoft. I've never seen it done as well anywhere else. Most other organizations I've been in, sometimes I see this at clients, it seems really kind of haphazard the way they manage recruiting and especially interviews. They do them by phone, there's no real structure behind how it's approached, there's no plan about how we're going to vet this candidate. And it seems really kind of subjective and wishy-washy. So once again, getting the wrong people on the bus is super expensive, really time-consuming. Correcting it is really hard. So get it right the first time. From a product management perspective, I would say make sure you have a really good description of the skills the person needs, including domain expertise, those kinds of things. If HR isn't driving a really tight interview loop, you can set one up, you can talk to people ahead of time, and maybe you can adopt some of these practices like sending the email out to the rest of the loop right after the interview. So I hope this was helpful to you. See you next week.